Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien here on the morning of Sunday, November 20th, 2022. Well, it's a week of Thanksgiving, and in about 3 weeks, we'll be in Pearl Harbor territory. So today's commentary is World War II, October 31st, 1941. Something they don't teach you Americans even today is that secretly President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill did what they call the start of the Atlantic Charter, otherwise known as NATO, back in 1939, late 1939. I forget which month it was, October, November, when Germany had declared war on when England had declared war on Germany, or the British. Well, they made a certain longitude. East of that area, the Royal Navy was in charge of convoys. West of that area, the United States Navy was in charge of that convoy. And this started, well, interesting things happening. At the late 1939, I believe, a certain destroyer, Greer, got shot or got torpedoed. They missed, by the way, by the Germans. And, well, it started actually World War II with America, but the United States never acknowledged that. They put this in the back burner. It wasn't until the late 70s when I found out about the Greer. But to my surprise, when I was doing a little research in high school as a sophomore in 1975, and I came across in my library at Balboa High School a book written by a certain guy, and I don't remember what his name was because back then I was not the guy I am today, but I had knowledge that I wanted to get. And I figured that World War II, there was something wrong in these textbooks because it just, December 7th, the day they were in infamy. When I knew about the destroyer Greer back in 1939, I said, well, the American and the British government are covering up something here. And yes, there was a lot of shooting and missing on the American side covering these convoys at that certain longitude line and westward. Whether there was another ship shot, well, that's buried deep in the War Department documents that you'll probably see. But October 31st, 1941. The destroyer, Rueben James, was an older destroyer. He wasn't really, he shouldn't have been there in the first place. But anyway, Rueben James had a confirmed crew line of 165 crew members. And October's cold in the North Atlantic, you know that, right? Titanic type, yeah. But anyway, they took possession of the convoy from the British Navy at this particular longitude line to cover them westward to the United States ports or Canadian ports. So they were on their way. And what was it? U-2 561, I believe it was. I'm not sure. I got to remember that one. But they do know the name of the U-boat that actually sunk the Rueben James, because her torpedo hit next to the number 3 boiler, I believe it was. Boom. And within 5 minutes, the ship was gone. with all officers, and out of the 165-member crew, only 45 survived. So 115 went down with the Rueben James. And I know the American government knows where the Rueben James lies with the 115 Americans. That, to me, should have satisfied a declaration of war, but they didn't. I don't even know what they told the family members of the 115 crew members who passed away. Because remember, it was 30 days later, November 30th, 37 days later, Pearl Harbor. And then they declared war, entered World War II on Japan. They didn't declare war on Germany until Hitler declared war 4 days later on them. So you see, Americans, and I did this as a commentary, not as a Paul Harvey rest of the story, but it is a Paul Harvey rest of the story. But I wanted to do this as an individual who has to ask questions, why? Especially coming up on this December 7th, 2022. It's about time they put out there, Rueben James was actually the start of World War II. You lost 115 people. What did you tell the families? You weren't at war, you were a neutral nation, and you stayed that way for another 37 days. Why? You can't blame this war on the Japanese. The Japanese was something that was brewing for 88 years. And if you don't understand that, Americans, then you got something on your head. 1853, you forced them to open the 19th century. You sent 4 black ships up there in Japan. Can you imagine a country like that, how that's going to take something like gun diplomacy that you guys practice? And then to do this on October 31st, 1941, and never remember that day. That, to me, is crazy. Sitting in for Paul Harvey. And Mr. Harvey said that on this story, although he wasn't as open as me, because he's an American, I'm not. But why would a country like yours do this to their own people, especially those 115 people who lost their loved ones in for the Rueben James? This is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey. Good day.